proper, well-established country or city, then how do you expect them to come with a human face, say that?
So are you saying that we see that played out in the protests that we see today?
We see how they suffer.
Where, look, 50 people have died from June to date.
Yes.
Probably now with yesterday, that number has increased.
Yes.
Okay? And unfortunately, the majority, if not all, of that 50 plus has been at the hands of police.
Yes.
During the protests.
Yeah.
The disappearances of individuals, who some are still missing till today, have been at the hands of police.
Yes.
Alai, are you making a connection between how they're treated, or how they live out their existence? Are you connecting that with the violence that they mete out on people
during
protests?
Yes, definitely. How we treat these young men and women, and some of them have served in the forces for a good number of time, a long time. How we treat them is going to be reflected on how they serve us.
If they were treated well, they lived in decent accommodation, they were able to earn really well, and there were protests happening in the city. Are you saying, Robert, that we would not see the killing by police of individuals?
The level of killing, killings. I believe that it's to some extent it will happen, because you have a situation where there's an unruly crowd. You don't know. In fact, in town that day, the day of the breach of parliament, I think those guys were in their hundreds of thousands. Because Kenyatta Avenue, there was full packed. Moi Avenue was packed. Koinange Street, now Harambee Avenue, it was packed. And I say, when I heard parliament has been breached, I thought hundreds have been killed. When I heard of 12, I say the police must have been restrained. And it works in the psychology, because also we need to understand the psychology of the police officers we are dealing with. How many formations, how many units do we have in the control of the protest? Probably we are the DCI, the DCI. How do they carry themselves? They are in camouflage. They are in civilians, in plain clothes. Then the AP, which is a bit more ruthless. Probably will not when you give them batons and IPs and guns, they probably will be more ruthless than any other police unit you have, especially the RDUs and so on. The GSU, like the regular police, you see, a bit more restrained, a bit. They work within certain parameters, because it's a paramilitary unit we have in the police force, and then we have the regular, who basically,
as civilians
in uniform. So they don't have much. But so the two most feared units during riots, the APs and the DCIs, what have we harmed them with? They don't have a badge. When a DCI officer comes to you here to identify himself, he'll just say, I'm a police officer, try to show you the ID. They don't want you to see the ID, because probably when he does something wrong to you, you will take he'll take the information and use it against him. So he'll pretend he's showing you the ID, but make sure that you don't see it well. You see, then they don't have a badge. Like you go to in the US or in the developed countries, they have a badge which they carry on their neck. So you are not even sure if there's a police officer. So they can in that situation, it is very easy to be abused.
I hear what you're saying. I must admit that I hear what you're saying.
Yes,
but are we not facing a situation whereby the very texture of the protest is anti-bad governance here, right? That folks are coming out into the streets and they're saying, look, as a government, certain things must happen. Yesterday, interestingly, we had a conversation about what the hashtag Ruto must go actually does mean, and in terms of what people are really asking for. And when we
what are they asking for?
Well, I mean, look, people are saying do the bare minimum when it comes to a certain number of things, and which they've been asked for example. Can you cut on corruption? Can we see proper austerity measures actually being taken by government? Can we be sure that the debt that which you're going to come back and ask Kenyans to pay taxes for is actually debt that is owed by Kenya? And can you make it public? Yeah, for sure. So we saw some of that coming out yesterday. But can you be sure that the folks that you have who are working in your government are actually, people of high standard and stature? Can you be sure of that? And so the call is that in the absence of this happening, then you as the executor of the country have no business being there. This is the core. Now, when you say things like this about, protecting the police and making sure that they have what they need to, in as much as those are really, really important things, does that take away from the integrity or the character of the protest when certain things are being demanded for?
I think first I would like to say that I hear calls about the good governance, and demands for austerity and change of a good number of things have happened. First, we have had the cabinet dissolved, or dismissed. Everybody has an interpretation. We've had the president say that he's going to implement a lot of things. He had the humility to come onto the platform where the young people were and hear all the 2-3 hours him being told what is wrong with his leadership. But I have a challenge when people seems to be not living in reality. And the reality is this, that you have given him conditions. Why don't you give him timelines? Why don't you tell him that we are giving you 3 months to implement this? We are giving you 6 months to implement this.
Or what?
Or we come back and protest. Because you started the protest in June. You don't give him any moment to work. You can't even have the cabinet sit down. This person has been in the presidency for less than 2 years. Yeah? There's no miracle. There's no school also for being a president. He's been in the presidency for just 2 years.
When should you do the right thing? When?
What do you want implemented? Dissolving the cabinet, you dissolved. Those are the people you didn't want. The people were showing off with the money which we didn't like. The Sudis, the Murkomens. I told them they have disappeared from our skins, from our screens. Yeah. What do we want? What can be implemented now? What can we be served like instant coffee today? In these governments, in these demands we have, that's a challenge I have, because let's compare with the Kibaki regime. Kibaki came in 2002. By 2005, he had not done a lot of things. He had not achieved much. In fact, he faced one of the worst, credibility tests.
With a referendum.
Yes,
which he lost.
People demanded, and people, the same thing. The presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta. People thought that he was going to leave as president of Kenya when he came back for the second term, which a good number, some of us in ODM said that he lost. When he came back for the second term, people said that, and even the court said that, the election had issues and they nullified the election. When he came back, he had to work with the opposition leader to ensure at least he did something. Some of the things like the expressway were built in record time. The changes in the in the railways to Kisumu, some of the infrastructure, the flagship projects of Uhuru Kenyatta happened in the second term. So I think that we are being very unfair, because this was not our candidate. Our candidate was Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila didn't get elected. But we are also very much aware that we have a nation to protect. And this nation is Kenya. Today, if this country goes down, the way we are pushing for the protest to be vicious, we are in fact, the whole civil society fraternity turned into one big Ruto must go movement without any clear reasons and without any clear timelines. You'd say, for us in the opposition, would tell you that, give us 2 months, you'll do this and that. If you change that, we'll work with it. If you don't, then ujue kwamba tunarudi na Zakaya Ashuke. In fact, Zakaya Ashuke came from Baba.
Okay.
Yes.
Robert Alai is the Kilelesha Ward MCA, and he's in the studio with us this morning. And many would say, okay, he's had an epiphany moment, and that he seems to be walking in the other direction from things that he may have said in the past.
Like what?
Well, we'll see when we come back from this break. Let's take a break and take a look at weather and traffic. Come back with Robert after this.
Get top quality KEB certified roofing sheets from Rhino Mabati. With many years of experience offering durable products with a 15-year guarantee. Choose from a variety of styles and colors at unbeatable prices. We have Germania tile, Roman Jamie tile, Espana tile, Jamese tile, Jamie Brit tile, Box Jamie, corrugated as well as stone coated. Enjoy fast delivery countrywide. Our factories are located in Kitengela and Meru. Call us today at 0729-628199 to order. Rhino Mabati. Do it best on top.
At Standard Talanta Academy, a collaboration between Talanta Institute and Standard Group, we are forging the next generation of media moguls, driving economic transformation and shaping the future. Introducing our flagship program, the Media Mastery Course. From TV and film production, photography to digital journalism, we are about action. Our hands-on approach means you will be creating, producing and innovating from day one. But we don't stop at technical skills. We empower you with life and entrepreneurship skills. And with Standard Group, home to KTN, Radio Maisha, Spice FM, Vibes Radio, the Standard newspaper, and more, you'll have unparalleled access to real-world experience and opportunities. Enroll now and ignite your journey in the heart of the creative economy. Visit www.talanta.ac.ke or call 0724-468-468 for more information. Standard Talanta Academy. Unleash creativity.
My name is Nyarira Gashugi and I'm always with the one and only
DJ Clifter is my name, and of course we are here each and every Sunday 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and I get to serve you nothing but the best in Christian music.
See you there!
KTN home.
It's busy in the city this morning. Let's take a look at Uhuru Highway coming in from the Nyayo Stadium roundabout all the way through into the CBD and then out towards Westlands. Traffic starting to pile up here and there in certain parts. Take a look at the Thika Superhighway as well, where traffic coming in all the way from well beyond Kahawa Kasarani out towards the Allsops Junction. Very, very busy traffic this morning. You're going to take a break where your service lanes are doing some magic, and then as you get towards Survey and that Pangani Tunnel, things are going to slow down just a little bit. It's busy on Kiambu Road getting towards Muthaiga Square, so an eye to be kept on that. And we're also seeing traffic coming out of the Ngong Road, Kingara Road, James Gishuru out towards Nzima Springs and then onto Wayaki Way. That's doing the business this morning as well. We are in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we get through it. Do talk to us, Spice of MKE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
"25 minutes left in this conversation with Kileleshwa Ward MCA Robert Alai. We're having a conversation this morning concerning, all right, so the hashtag and the shout, the clarion call has been Ruto must go. And, you know, it's interesting. I'm looking at some of the comments that have come in here. And, you know, Robert Alai is one who always stands for what he says or says something and stands for it. The mechanics of politics are very, very interesting. We can't run away from that. And even as you say this, you've always been one who said, no, we've got to fight for good governance. You've got to insist on it. But now what I'm hearing you say is that, you know what, now that you have made the call, you have said certain things need to happen.
Yes.
Are you also saying now is the time, get off the streets?
Yes.
And let the president and his government do the things that you have asked them to do? So protests need to stop?
Yes.
And this all needs to stop, and let's see if he's going to do it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think they need to suspend the protests. I think that it's not healthy for the country. It is, in fact, it's working against their mission because they want to see more people employed. The young people say they are not employed. We are in the city every day. Me, I work from the city, you know, because I work in the assembly, and the assembly was looted, burnt. You know, we can't have committees now. We can't have almost 60 to 70% of the functions of the assembly. We can have most of the time we have the COVID era way of holding the assembly, which is the Zoom. Yeah, so it is very, very challenging for us on the Wabera Street where the assembly is. I think more than 10 shops were looted, including Carrefour, the Italian menswear, where they sell some of the most expensive
places you used to go.
No, we didn't go. But the businesses around town, because they support the people there. When you pass in front there, you get the young people, the people serving clients in those places. Carrefour, Pronto, in front there, the other places. But also one of them is the shop which was looted belonged to a young man called Dominic Mwangi. And Dominic is a pilot. He came from the slums of Nairobi and trained himself as a pilot. Then he sells also gadgets on the side. In fact, he sells most of my gadgets. But his shop, which was on Wabera Street, was looted. 7 million worth of stock taken all. He doesn't have insurance. He was not, he didn't know that it could come to that. But his shop, which had grills, was broken into, looted, everything carted away. And these are very expensive because he sells mostly the Apple products. And very expensive things taken away. He's taken it back. This guy is in an emotional mess. We have rendered very many young people unemployed because of the protests.
Who is we?
The Gen Zs.
No, Robert, come on. I need to be very clear. You're saying so because the Gen Z movement has gone into the street to protest against bad government.
Yes.
Are you now putting the blame on these protests for the individuals who have lost their property and lost life?
Yes. I think we have to put the blame on them because, and this is the reason why. We live in a society which has to have structures. If I was to come to this studio and you are three hosts without a leader. You see, we are in this studio. You are the person with all the controls. Us, me and the city, we have to listen to leadership from you. You are in a situation where somebody tells you they are in a movement of millions with no leader, with no structures, and they don't want those structures. Every result of development in this country is a result of structured engagement. Either you're making law or you're leading a movement to create change. You wanted independence of the country. You're trying to create a new constitution. You want this thing changed. It has to be structured. And if it is not structured, it is prone to abuse. So anybody encouraging people to go to the street to protest, for their rights, however valid they are, which most of us agree that they are very valid concerns, and the most beautiful, this is the protest every Kenyan has wanted. But the moment they said they don't want leaders, we saw this as an opportunity for people who are creating anarchy in the society.
Robert, were criminal elements not infiltrate? Did they not infiltrate? Yesterday, what had we seen? And it goes towards even almost being able to be proved that a former MCA like yourself,
who is the former MCA?
Allegedly was handing out money to folks to come in and counter what was happening in terms of a peaceful protest. So these protests, if you look at what was happening, they were largely peaceful. In the beginning, we did not see that there was infiltration by what I am calling very clearly criminality. And I would put the blame on the criminality that in most times what we are seeing allegedly has been sponsored and been paid for by elements in government or some politicians. Those are the ones to blame and not these individuals who are on the street protesting against bad governance and promoting good governance. The criminal element is to blame here. I think we'd have to be very careful to draw the line.
No, I think
Robert, there were people on the street who really were praying for a situation economically that gets better. And then to now put the blame on them for loss of life and property, I think is very rich.
Who are these people who are looking for change? And because we have the movement which has been called Gen Z has everybody in it. It is not only the people of the Generation Z.
No, it has morphed, that's for sure.
Yeah, it has morphed. Yeah, so definitely. And also we need to realize that if you're going to turn people and call government criminal without evidence, I would say, because,
Was there a criminal aspect in these protests, Robert? Yes or no?
Criminal, and that's why the police, we have encouraged the police to come in hard on the criminality. My challenge is this, that when you are saying that there is an element of criminality, I also think that there's an element of criminality because we don't know the organizers, but we know the encouragers and the inciters, the civil society, good section of the community. I so much highly regard and always watch for the media. You know, the journalists who I saw one yesterday going around the city looking for ways where he suspect he sees those groups. I think those have been supported by the government. Then you see he goes on Twitter and say inject. Then I ask myself, is this a journalist trying to cover a protest?
How do you know he was a journalist? He was wearing some...
No, I know he's a journalist. He's a long-time journalist for a very long time.
You know the person?
I know the person. And I know not only one, like 3, 4, 5 of them.
Robert, you know, there's something that we sometimes forget is the responsibility that we must bear when we make certain decisions and take certain steps. When someone is sensitized and someone is brought into an understanding of what their rights are, among which are peaceful protests, if one is brought into understanding that they have certain freedom of speech, but then also brought to understand their responsibilities that accompany these freedoms, and then what we have seen developing comes into being. Anyone who has understood protests in this country will know this was bound to happen.
Yeah.
These so-called criminal elements were bound to come in.
Yes.
But there's something unique about these particular protests. Because the numbers of citizens, of individuals whom one can call rogue elements were in very large numbers. They were not 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, the question we've been wondering here is, our security forces also have intelligence. How on earth did this large number of people, and I'm sure some of them are also known, manage to come into the city on that particular day in these large numbers without the intelligence or security people knowing that this was going to happen?
Because they were part of Gen Zs, probably. Because, you know, they're also the criminals.
The criminals are also that age bracket.
Yes, yes.
Now, that's where you politicians come in, because some of these, that's where you politicians come in, because some of these young people, as you have said yourself, are people who are known to political groupings.
Yes.
Because the people who fill rallies and come in large numbers tend to be youthful people. So there are people who are known. But even within these youthful people, there are people who are given to criminality.
Yes.
Okay? But what you said was, within a certain setting, they're controlled.
Yes.
It is known,
yes,
and they are put in check.
Yes.
So let me ask the question differently. How did so many such people come in without any check?
Because, you know, at certain point, the police don't have the capacity to check these people. And for us, let me just answer you. And for us, like we did in the Mandamano of last year, the people who are doing the checks for the criminality, it mostly relied on us. It relied on us, even for the rallies. When you go to there, we hire the youth. We say that who is going to bring the youth who are going to do the security from Dagoretti? Who is going to do from Embakasi? Who is going to check? Because we know the criminals who are going to come here, the young people who are probably armed, who have guns, illegal guns. We know the young people who are always carrying kisu. You know, we know the young people who are very prone to causing chaos because they want to snatch a phone or snatch a camera of a journalist. And we know how to track them. Because tukimwambia kwamba, hey, we Jemo, stop. We know anatoka sehemu hii, mtaa hii, this is the person who is controlling the area. Because you know, Nairobi is quite messy, and some of these low-income areas you've seen, like we have seen behind you here in Kware, where a good number of bodies were found. Some of these areas don't have proper policing capacity. So it is reliant upon, and that's why you see, when violence breaks out in Nairobi, what works is called the balance of terror. You see? It is balance of terror, and we blamed it during the post-election violence. Where so you heard people say that, you know, we could not access our houses. You know, I own a plot in Madare, and this community has refused me entry to go and collect my rent. It is because the balance of terror was working. Basically, you people fight, but draw the line. Say you can't cross, we can't cross, until order returns, is restored. Yes, yeah. So this is what always happened for us. If you terrorize us, we terrorize you back, because the police is very absent in those things. You saw in a very small rally, which unfortunately Trump was almost killed in the US, the number of police officers deployed in such a small rally. Compared to what, in fact, in low opposition rallies, you almost see no police officer.
Talking of
and
that,
police officer is always a catalyst to chaos, because the moment, the manner of policing in this, especially in the urban areas, it is not of the modern age. We have armed police officers with only batons in most of the situations, or in some situations with only an AK-47. So you find a situation, a very simple situation, which probably just needed a taser, needed just a pepper spray, just needed probably a whip for somebody to just scare them to. The only weapon he can draw is the one he's carrying.
So you agree that, knowing that,
yes,
that there are folks who then did actually hire youth from amongst
I'm not certain that there's anybody who hired anybody. What I'm certain about is that these elements have been invaded by criminals. And for us to get to the bottom of it is that we have to restore order. And order is going to be restored by us accepting that we cannot have a movement which is leaderless. You saw in last year when Raila was being hunted like chicken in this town, when his car was being shot at, with not only tear gas canisters, but also bullets.
Live bullets.
Live bullets. Journalists, if there was a moment where I feared for journalists of this country, because the media van for Azimio is destroyed up to now, because most of the journalists were relying on that to sit on top of it so that they can have a proper view from the front. A good number of them the equipment were destroyed from that van, and I didn't know why the police got to the point of, now, if you wanted Azimio leaders, you should have gone for Azimio leaders or Azimio politicians. But you went for the media van, the fourth estate, which was supposed to provide for all of us who are probably not participants in the contest. The view, the 360 degrees view of whatever was happening, they were targeted. And that one was the most unfortunate thing I saw. I have not seen the kind of level of violence targeted on us in this protest. I saw Bungei, who was the biggest culprit in targeting us, was just walking in the street yesterday and laughing. And I say that these people are complaining that as we did for only 1 week and 75 people are dead. 1 week only, 75 people are dead. These people are complaining that, you invade parliament. When we go to parliament, our boys in Embakasi say that you people went to parliament. The most radical boys in the city said, mmeingia parliament, mkakaa kwa kiti ya speaker, nyinyi tumewaogopa. We are not playing with you again. These guys were basically surrendering to the Gen Z movement. They're saying that, but we have to have a country. Let's have sanity. Let's have structures.
Robert,
yes.
This group is not leaderless. They say they are, but they are not.
Yeah.
The normal
Who is the leader?
No, I am actually not going there.
Yeah.
The normal structure of leadership, unfortunately, in this country, has one problem. They can be spoken with. And they can be spoken.
What is wrong about being spoken?
They are compromised.
They're compromised.
That is a problem.
If you have a movement which is genuine, if they are being compromised, then they might also be compromised to cause chaos.
But that is to my point. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because everything you've described, especially with the Sufria Revolution, that's what I like calling it. It demonstrated in Technicolor how it is that the state have the monopoly of violence. And if they have the monopoly of violence, the things that you politicians do, you think they cannot do it. If you people have youth who subscribe to your party doctrine, are you saying that the government doesn't have the might and the power to do so? They have the means. Call it intelligence, call it security, call it money. They have it. And more to the point, they know these people.
Yeah, and that's my fear. You see, Hindu and City, my fear now, and this is why I am standing on the side of the government. The biggest fear I have now is that survival instincts might kick in for William Ruto today. If it kicks in, what will he do?
What does that mean?
Survival instincts is, I finish my time, I go away. Because these people don't want me. What do? I just be in the office, no development. It is survival. So survival, he will be using the military, it will be using the police, because he still has control of such. Probably the people around him might start using the militia. You might see a lot of militias emerging. And this is how countries have, the good thing is that when I started my career, one country I worked in 8 years, for 8 years is Congo, DRC. And you could see how chaos and anarchy can destroy very beautiful. And I worked in that country when they had four vice presidents. These 4 vice presidents were all rebel leaders. And I was working with the UN. And this was the best view I had of anarchy. Because next to Congo, DRC, I was having the eastern region, the Ituris and the Kalemis, the Manonos, the Bukavus, and so on. This next to DRC is Rwanda and Burundi.
Yes.
Yeah? Most of the refugees we were serving were being hosted in around an area called Ngara in Tanzania and Kibondo. The 4 vice presidents who are rebel leaders, imagine a situation where they have met at a roundabout. A very simple thing. Just one convoy coming this side, one convoy coming this side, at a roundabout. All of them insisting that I have to go fast. I have to go fast. Because if I go fast, I am on top of you. You see? Huh? The ranking.
Don't tell me a fight broke out because of this.
Everybody draws guns. Then you have to call the UN on phones, and the phones are not properly working. The mobile cellular networks were not properly deployed. So in some situations, somebody has to be sent to go and look for the UN at the bases.
To come and broker peace.
Come and broker peace at the roundabout. A very simple thing. You have a situation where you have people who are armed as government soldiers or government police. People are supposed to protect you. They said, we have not been paid for 6 months. Hii pesa yenu ya UN, hebu toeni leo. They rob you. They turn on you. They come to your office. They surround. They want money.
Are you trying to draw parallels? Are you drawing parallels between that?
Yes.
And what's currently happening in Kenya today?
Yes. And it has the biggest risk of happening here, because if the survival instincts kicked in today for the president, we'll be living in chaos and anarchy. And
one might argue, Alai, that here we are looking at a situation whereby, in my opinion, it's about time that, citizens be central when it comes to governance.
Yeah.
And not just in Kenya, I mean, around the continent. So here we have a time where people are finally speaking up about what needs to happen, not what they only want to happen, but what needs to happen in terms of governance. But then these fears that you speak of, I mean, and they could be conjecture, but all right, whatever it is, that they now water down this very potent right that folks have to demand for the things that they're demanding for. So rather than follow that line, we're saying, well, if you continue in this direction, what could happen is a place where there's total anarchy. And don't we lose the plot when it comes to the demand on government, on leaders, from MCAs to members of parliament, to senators, to governors, and then until the point whereby we're looking at the president and the presidency. Don't we water down that call that is being asked for good governance when we say, well, guys, if you continue protesting, what we could have is a state of anarchy, and it could become, Animal Farm all over again, where each man for himself and none for us all. Don't we lose the sight of that?
I think we're talking reality into them. We're telling that this is what we have lived in this country longer than you.
And never made demands in the way in which they're making them.
No, we have made demands. We have made some of these changes, some of these roads they're seeing built, some of the constitution, some of the rights. There was a time in this country where you could not even speak freely as you speak today. You will be picked at night by special branches. My MP from Moroni says that in fact, the intelligence we have now is of professional people, and they said unabebwa na watu wenye mkono mkubwa unaenda kupigwa then unawachwa. You see, there's no better time to be Kenyan. And the beauty of this is we saw for the first time the government, even the achievement, I think you should have patted yourself on the back as Gen Zs and say that we forced the cabinet to be dissolved. Even if they brought some people back to the same cabinet, whom you think should have not been brought back, you forced the president, the most powerful person in the land, to dissolve the cabinet. The whole media, the global media, celebrated you. The UN Secretary General, whom I served under when he was the head of the refugee, appreciated you. The UN refugees, UNHCR boss then celebrated you guys and appreciated how you guys have led a very powerful and nice movement. Everybody in the world, including the French president, the UK Prime Minister, you are celebrating the Kenyan disease. You have appeared in all. You are going to destroy and water down all your efforts and achievements.
But Robert, is it the Gen Z movement that we first saw who are destroying things, or is it people who have come in and have co-opted themselves into the movement and who have created an alternate narrative to what was there. Because the alternate narrative seems to be mayhem, chaos, like what happened in Kitengela. Are we saying that the Gen Zs whom we first saw are the very people who went and caused that mayhem and destruction?
I'll tell you one simple thing, then you can draw a conclusion, because I don't want anybody to threaten Standard Media Group with a suit. So
do we need to say that these are your words? The next words that you're about to speak are yours? Okay, go ahead.
You see, when Parliament was breached, then on Wednesday we were encouraging people to go to State House. Then some of us realized and say that you guys are going to State House, and also, you know, people are living in State House, and some of the security officers are our brothers and sisters, and they would share and tell you that, boss, we have been given express orders, and this is what we are supposed to do. Kindly tell these young people we love them. Don't come. Just don't come. We don't want to, because, you know, a normal police officer will not shoot. There's no police officer who will kill 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 demonstrators. Pop, pop. Then again another one. Then another one. The moment he shoots one and he sees blood, the conscience will kick in.
His conscience is triggered. Is that what
yes? And the next shots you will see, even in Parliament. That's why, despite the breach by hundreds, thousands probably, only 12. And one life lost is one too many. I agree. But I can tell you that the number, when I saw it in the morning, I see it.
Only.
Those guys were very restrained. And I received a call on that Thursday. I was going to a media station, and they told me that, boss, why are you telling people not to go to State House? He's a very powerful person. It was the last government. Probably one of the most powerful people I've ever spoken to in my life. Why are you telling people not to go to Parliament? I said, when you guys were part of this thing. No, we just want, can you guys mobilize? Yuko Azimio. Ujamaa ondoke.
Okay.
Ujamaa ondoke.
Our last question, because our time is running out, Robert. Is there a place for talks? Broad-based government is what the president has said.
We have to talk.
What do you think about the current dialogue that is being asked for at the moment?
I support it fully. You know, the president has to talk to political leaders. You know, the unfortunate bit for the Gen Zs who don't want any politician, you know, talking about their plight, or probably they want politicians to address the plight, but they don't want politicians in any conversation. It is very ironical. But I think it has to be addressed politically. And because this is a country led through a democratic political process, I think that the politicians from both sides have to talk. I think the president has to reach out, which I hear that he has reached out. I'm seeing from the various newspaper, it is the Marazimio, ODM, and so on. I've reached out, and he's trying to bring some members into a broad-based government. I really support that, and I think it has to happen very fast, because when we realize that we have a country to protect and save and nurture, I think it's when everybody would realize that we have lived a level of democratic maturity. But also I ask my pride, because I don't believe it's a Gen Z anymore. Even the people who held a memorial concert for Gen Z didn't include any single person below the age of 43 in that concert. But I would urge them that you need to realize that any movement without leadership is bound to cause chaos, and you have to trust one person in the world. One person in the world. Can you get that one person in the world who can speak for you? Yeah?
Thanks
Even
for your
if you don't
insights.
trust.
Thanks for your insights this morning. Robert Alai, a member of the County Assembly in Nairobi. Akile Leshwa Ward, thank you so much for being here this morning. Good morning. 1 minute after 8.